Hello and welcome. A bloody gun battle has left dozens dead at the siege of the Red Mosque in Islamabad, just 3 kilometers from the office of Pakistani President Pervez Musharraf. As the army fights to take complete control of the historic religious site, the people continue to witness a deeper conflict for control of power in the Muslim nation. The politics of Pakistan have been messy since the country's inception almost exactly 60 years ago, and the future looks even more uncertain. But today we speak with Imran Khan, immensely popular from his legendary career in cricket and now a prominent figure in Pakistan's tangled political web. He formed the Tehreek-e-Insaf Party, or Movement for Justice, a decade ago and won a seat in Parliament in 2002. Now his party is a part of a coalition working to oust President Musharraf in the new elections, which are slated for later this year or early in 2008. He'll answer our questions in a moment, but it's important to recognise that the Red Mosque crisis serves to illustrate how pressure is growing in a society torn between military, political and religious leaders, all vying for control. President Musharraf has been on the defensive since 2001 when he backed America's so-called war against terror. After he fired the country's top judge in March, he faced the most serious protests since he took power in a military coup 8 years ago. Now don't forget, we take your questions and comments on this subject, and you can reach us at the numbers on the bottom of your screen. But Imran Khan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rez.
First, I must start off by asking you, what do you make of the handling of the situation at the Red Mosque in Islamabad?
Disaster. It is the worst handling of any situation I've known in Pakistan's history. Women and children, and God knows how many of them have been killed. How did we reach this stage? 6 months ago, when this whole episode started, surely this should have been taken care of within a week. And how was this allowed to grow to this stage where militants and guns moved into this mosque right under the nose of the security forces? The ISI headquarters is barely a stone throw away from the Red Mosque. So what happened? I mean, how was this allowed to get to this stage? There are a lot of questions that are unanswered.
How would you,
I think time will...
Right.
Yeah.
How would you have done it differently if you were in the president's shoes?
I would have, the day the clerics took law in their own hands, I would have surrounded the mosque, cut off all supply, water supply, gas, electricity, everything, and waited for them to come out. There was no need to use force, because there's no threat to any capital. And let me just say, this is no fight between Islamic militants and the regime, or there's some danger of Pakistan being taken over by militants. It might be what General Musharraf wants the Western countries to believe, but it has no relevance to reality in Pakistan. There's no imminent danger of any fundamentalists or extremists taking over the country.
Let me ask you then to answer an email question we got, Imran, from Waleed in Islamabad in Pakistan. And Waleed wrote to us saying, it's a clear-cut fact that this war between the real Muslims who want Sharia law and the puppet government will spread to all of Pakistan. Just look at the number of attacks on different government, military, paramilitary and police troops in these last few days.
Well, first you must understand the problem that is faced by Pakistanis. What's happened is that General Musharraf, by siding with this George Bush's war on terror, is perceived by majority of the Muslims not a war on terror, but a war against Islam. So once General Musharraf is perceived as a US puppet in Pakistan, fighting a war against Islam, especially by the right wing in the country or the religious element in the country, whatever he does is perceived with suspicion, as if he's doing something against Islam. So when he tried to pull down these mosques in Islamabad, which the government claimed were illegally built, amongst the religious people it was perceived as yet another American agenda against Islam. So he's regarded with suspicion, and that's where the standoff began.
Saqib is on the line from London with a question, Imran. So Saqib, what would you like to ask?
Imran, I have a lot of respect developed from of you since you took the stand against the MQM. But on the same hand, I think I have no love lost for Mr. Musharraf. But this stand has been taken, and I think has been rightly taken, and we should take it in the same breath.
Okay, Imran?
Okay, Saqib, I ask you a question. If your children were in that mosque, if General Musharraf's children were in that mosque, would they have assaulted with the whole Pakistan army firing and the sort of explosions you've seen? And we don't even know how many people have died, how many children and women have died. It's not just one man, and everyone disagrees with what that cleric did. But it's a question of the poorest, the poorest strata of society. There were orphans there. There were children there. How could you assault the mosque? I just cannot. I mean, have we no humanity left in us? Is there no compassion left in us? That just because we can brand them as Islamic militants, then all human rights, all considerations, all compassion goes out of the window?
Imran, there was a question that came from Muhammad Ali from Pakistan by email. Muhammad Ali wrote saying, as a normal middle-class Pakistani, it is not our scuffle at all. This conflict in essence lies between the liberal and conservative segments of society. While the streets hold little support for the militants in the mosque, support for the government is also drifting. And I wonder then, based on what he said here, has it reached a point where Pakistanis don't know who they can trust?
Well, Riz, let me just tell you something. Every human society has its extremes. It has its moderates, its liberals, its conservatives. But the vast majority of human beings are always tend towards the center, which is a moderate position. Pakistan is no exception. Trying to portray in Muslim societies this war between liberals and fundamentalists, it's a disaster for our societies. Look what's happening in Iraq. Shias fighting Sunnis. In Afghanistan, so-called Taliban fighting so-called moderates, which include warlords. Or what's happening in Somalia, Shariat court fighting, what is this nonsense going on? I mean, doesn't India have its extremes? Doesn't it have its fundamentalists? What about the people who killed 2,000 people in Gujarat, the Hindu right wing? But is India being divided amongst liberals and secular and fundamentalists? It's not. So, I mean, this whole war is artificial. It's unfortunately a regime which has no legitimacy, a military dictator, trying to prove his usefulness to the United States by trying to fight this fundamentalists and extremists. This is no way of fighting them. You have to sort of get everyone along on a common vision. You have to accept that every society has its people with different views, but you don't kill them with bullets. You try and have a democratic process, build consensus, have debate, marginalize the extremes.
Let's get a call in from the UK, and Taimur, I think it is on the line. Go ahead with your question, please. Go ahead.
I have a comment on what Imran Khan has just said to the previous caller. And what I want to say is that these people who were inside the Lal Masjid were not anything other than petty criminals. And criminals have to be dealt with according to the law. Even if those criminals were my children or children of President Musharraf, yes, they should have been stormed when they refused to come out, when they took up arms and started shooting at innocent passerbys and the people in the army.
Thank you for coming. Let's also get. I'm going to squeeze in one more. Let's get Ali on the line from the UAE. I want to try and get in as many people, a lot of people lining up. Ali, what would you like to ask as well or comment?
Well, my comment for Imran is that if we don't deal with people like this who take control of the situation in such a way as this cleric has done, then don't you think that it will encourage a lot of other people who are in a similar situation to just do the same? And, then the writ of the government is not there, then all these people, you will be having similar situation in all the other parts of the country.
Okay, Imran?
Number one, I never said that you don't deal with it. It's the method used of dealing with the situation which I disagree with. And as I said, 6 months ago when this problem cropped up, why wasn't it dealt with it then? And what about just dealing with it by cutting off electricity supply? Don't allow anything to go into the mosque and allow the people to come out. Why use bullets and guns and these explosions? Right. Is this how you deal with human beings? And there is a very important point I want to raise. Now, in India, the Golden Temple was stormed by Indian troops. What happened after that? A lot of people died in it. There were thousands of Sikhs killed after that. There was Indira Gandhi herself losing her life in the process. When you do this sort of action, the repercussions are much